Okay, I'm not too short. All right, that's very bright though. So this is old shit, but it's good shit, so I brought it. It's also very personal, so I don't know, don't talk to me about it. It's called And That Is Enough. When discussing my motherhood, people often have opinions about the number of babies my body has created. They ask if I'm Catholic, or a quiverful mom, or just plain not able to understand the function of birth control. I noticed over time that I became whatever side of the Madonna whore coin that people deemed most appropriate to categorize me. But however I was filed, I was inevitably too young, too poor, too unworthy to be given the gift of children, and ineffable Midwestern politeness is a thin veneer. When I was young and single and a mother for the first time, I was told there was no way that I could possibly raise a boy on my own. What could I know of manhood? What could I possibly understand of men? I suppose they were right, because getting married at 20 was more based upon the gender of my groom than any redeeming qualities he possessed. That marriage lasted 4 whole months, and it ended with a fist in my face, and another baby, and me dragging myself from a decision that so many people had perplexingly told me must be made. And it was there at 21, while raising the babies of 2 men, different in their own deep, utter flaws, but both equally unable to contribute at all, I managed to find my own imperfect happiness on my own terms and in my own time. And by the time my 3rd child was born, I had pulled all of those pieces together, going about the business of building a life, trying to be what I thought constituted a good mother. Not a mother who gave the milk away for free, but a mother who wore aprons, baked cookies, applied bandages to knees. And for years, into that bottomless void of social approval, I offered up anything that made me worthy of motherhood. Name brand clothes from the thrift store, volunteering to bring food, carefully curating presents, a college degree. I became the most helpful mama friend, posting myself at the swings while other mothers chatted in the shade, secure in themselves, secure in each other. I dove full on into attachment parenting. I was convinced that if I could only prove I was a good mother, a worthy mother, my age and the number of my children would cease to matter. And I eventually learned that all the baby slings, extended nursing, and co-sleeping in the world is not enough to buy you approval when strangers already think you are trash. And mama friends still fire shots, low and quiet, when you're not around. To put that in perspective, I spent all of my years as a young mother saturated in disapproval, stressed when my children got dirty, or acted out, or talked back, or did anything that might make someone raise their eyebrows, mutter about my inadequacies, and dissect my right to be a parent at all. If my children behaved especially well, I was Lady Gaia, doing it all full of talent and patience, moving goddess-like, beautiful ducklings in tow, applauded, smiled at, approved of. But if not, if my child tossed sand at the playground or threw a tantrum or stepped in a mud puddle, well then, I just had too many children and I was too poor and I couldn't plan my day properly, let alone a family. You see, there is not an in-between. No one actually ever just said, "Hey there, good job making sure everyone stayed alive today. Great job feeding everyone vegetables. Oh, thank you for taking care of so many future taxpayers." This was before the flood of daily affirmations and the self-diagnosis of ADHD was on social media. So being perfect was actually the only option. I wasn't quite the whore, for despite having had so many kids and keeping my own last name, I was married. But Madonna status is only granted if kids are angels to match. So mostly I ended up somewhere in between, someone to smugly nod to yourself about as you reminded yourself that you were superior. Yeah, your kids might be jerks, and you didn't pack enough snacks today, but God, look at that woman over there. She had enough children to outright her more than twice over. Aren't you glad you aren't living her life? Whether Madonna or whore, no one asked me what it was like. Being an under-resourced only child when I became a mother at 17, 21, 23, 25, 27, 33. Jesus' age, right? No one ever asked what it was like when I was 24 and my entire support system just moved away. Or how the constant struggle to survive eroded my patience, left me exhausted, sapped my joy. Just as no one really looks beyond a carefully cultivated and filtered social media feed. No one ever really wanted to know if I was drowning. Drowning was for failures, for those who broke their bootstraps, for mothers who didn't love their children enough. And failure? Failure is only for bad mothers. And I am smart enough to know that I showed up for them all. In the best ways that I knew, I figured out how to make what magic I could, crafted birthday party decorations when we couldn't afford to buy them, found scholarships for enrichment, and endlessly sifted through thrift store racks, the smell of pesticide in my nose as I looked for the good labels on the good clothes bought by a good mom. And I became the underdog story of my own creation. I was in the honors program, a homeschooling mama, cloth diapering expert. Like that's a phrase. I figured out how to borrow as much money as we could. So we were almost able to breathe. And I thought I was doing so well because my feet had been so used to treading water that I had become accustomed to being exhausted, and I was able to convince myself real easy that I was a superhero, despite I was unraveling underneath the surface, and I almost didn't actually graduate. I was so close to a nervous breakdown, I wasn't even sure what the process of repair even was, and our house started to fall apart in earnest. Right about the same time I did. And if this had been the 1960s, well, that would have been the point where I collected my standard issue Valium prescription, added an afternoon cocktail to calm my nerves, played bridge. But being the late 2000s, I merely graduated, estranged myself from my already long-distance mother, and started writing more than academic work. Neither Madonna nor whore, just a witch who couldn't be burnt. I started grad school, began working in operations, was published. I learned how to use credit cards to make myself an even more worthy mother. I learned how to make Christmas appear out of thin air. Neither Madonna nor whore, just a witch that couldn't be burnt. I eventually became old enough that people began discussing my motherhood more matter-of-factly, until I stopped dyeing my hair, the fact that I had children in their early 20s was a bit of a struggle for some people. And I don't comment much now on social media or make appearances in mama groups. I lost the stomach for performative motherhood, that constant validation. And I know the shallowness of public affirmations and the fair-weatheredness of friends and the illusion of family support. But I know I'm a witch that couldn't be burnt. not by false friends, not by the corporate world, not by academia. Fuck. Not by office politics, not by fake harm reductionists, not even by my own children. I know I'm a witch that couldn't be burnt, and that is enough.